right, hello everyone again. It is 1:40. We are reconvening for budget work session number 21 to continue our conversation around budget amendments and budget notes. Any updates that folks want to share over the lunch hour? I know there was a lot of conversations happening, employment services, some of the budget notes. So as I said before we adjourned or we recessed, we are losing some folks this afternoon, so I wanted to start off with employment services if we could, so that we can have the benefit of their expertise while folks are still in the room.
Is our staff here? I think they're still.
I think all this, I was like, are the staff finalizing?
Yeah.
While we're waiting for that, how about the Marie Acquit? And yet we have to do this in a public meeting.
Yes.
So the question is, and this is like a formatting question, can we have all the commissioners who want to be on the sponsor line and shift to the, I'm looking at you, Christian, and shift to the pay for that you had?
Yes.
Like a whole new amendment that just has everybody across. Since we're doing a public meeting?
So
The answer is yes.
First, hi, Christian Elkin, County Budget Director. I use she, her pronouns. I'm hoping my friend Jenny Madcore is online listening. So the amendment forms as they're built right now, and I'm just walking us through a little history here, I apologize, is that it's a sponsor and a co-sponsor, and then we translate that into the spreadsheet. And then what's been happening is in the boardroom, and this is where Jenny was giving us advice, is that the original amendment sheet can't have more than 2 people on it, right? Because then that looks like we're submitting something with serial deliberation. But that the spreadsheet as something that we're kind of creating differently, and I don't know if I need to change the title on that, which is the big spreadsheet in front of you all, then could have more than 2 names on it.
But this is like a formatting thing. I mean, I'm assuming in a public meeting, I could pass around everybody who wants to be on the sponsor line, and that's fine, because we're not having a serial public meeting, we're in the meeting.
Is Jenny online?
I can, yeah,
Yes,
I'm
hi.
right here. Hi, good morning or afternoon, everyone. Yeah, so Commissioner Bram Edwards, you are correct that once we are in the meeting, commissioners can voice their support in unison or objections to any of the amendments or budget notes, and then they can also co-sponsor. So now that we're in this public meeting context, the issue of serial deliberations is no longer an issue.
So County Attorney Madcore, is there a certain way that I need to show that so that it does not look like it was done in serial deliberation because it's on a static spreadsheet and not in the moment? Just want to make sure that I don't get any of us in trouble with anyone.
There'll be a recording of this?
Yeah, we do have the recording. That's accurate, and we can also we can look at the spreadsheet, Christian, and find some formatting or other methodology to help identify support by more than one commissioner voiced during a public meeting.
Okay, great. I'm glad we've got that. Thank you for being cautious with that. I do feel like it's in this public meeting. Okay, so should we just do a straw poll? Who would like to be on the new Marie Acquit amendment that's going to be created? Great. Okay, we've got a unanimous, everybody wants to be on the new amendment. So would you like my office to take the lead in drafting that?
Sure, it's already drafted, they just changed the.
Perfect. Okay, great. All right, we will take that on.
So we just got rid of,
1.
no, 2.
2. Well, but we added 1. So the net was 1. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just
Okay.
everybody's.
Okay, great.
Just to make sure I have clarity, so I'm deleting 2, keeping the chairs, and adding support by everyone
But
that
everybody's
raised
to
their
be
hand.
sponsors.
Correct, but adding support for as,
Perfect.
thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Do we have the,
Okay.
they're here. I don't know if they
It
can
looks
come
like
up.
staff has come. If they need a minute, that's fine, but We got it.
What dollars does that take away, Christian, that we don't?
For the Maria Queen?
Yeah.
None.
No, but I mean, the ones that, there were amendments that utilized other resources.
What, do you remember your amendment numbers for those? So yours, well, you had switched your pay for, it was a safety off the streets adult shelter, which was my pay for. And then Singleton Moyers, I don't believe they had a pay for yet, because I had said I was going to find something, so it doesn't.
Okay, so just that one.
Okay, so are we ready to have the conversation around employment services?
Staff, they're still working on it.
Okay. Okay,
Or are you?
okay. All right, any other updates from work? Any budget note updates, any? Still rewriting, okay.
We didn't actually have the time to write them. We had
Okay.
the time to talk about them.
Okay, well, that's good, I'm glad there were conversations.
So Commissioner Singleton, what about the PSH budget? Are you working on that right now?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay,
Just so everybody's aware, we're, instead of merging the two PSH, we're going to do some cross-reference, like have them be two freestanding, but have some cross-referencing so that there's a linkage.
okay. All right. All right, why don't we take a little recess until we are ready to come back and talk about employment services? Okay? We're in recess. guys, we are going to come back. I know that there's still conversations happening around the employment services at the staff level, but I did want to, I hear that HSD has some updates on timelines based on the work that they've done, so I want to invite them up to go ahead and present that information. What are we doing? Is that what I just heard?
Hello. For the record, Anna Plum, she, her pronouns, Deputy Director, Multnomah County Homeless Services Department. We're discussing budget note timelines, is that what we're talking about?
Yes, like based on the conversations that happened over our break and when folks were going to be looking at it. I think people would be really interested in hearing, the timing, the sequencing about, in response to the budget notes that we were going through this morning.
Great, okay, so starting with the two PSH budget notes. The one introduced by Commissioner Brem Edwards, that's really sort of more of a like, what are we spending now? What would it cost to meet the need, et cetera. We are actually thinking of moving that slightly earlier to be at the end of this calendar year as sort of a phase one, and then sequencing the response to the second one sort of in two phases. We're thinking of phase two as sort of that inventory piece. What is the full breadth of PSH, and having that by the end of March. And then phase three being that full fidelity review and the review of are there ways to cover some of these costs via other things like Medicaid. That one we do feel like would roll into the following fiscal year, because that's a pretty major analysis and review. So that one we were suggesting to actually have started towards the end of 2027 and move into fiscal year 2028. That is what we would recommend.
And Sarah Morrissey, she, her pronouns, Deputy COO. In addition to that one, the other piece that we wanted to talk about was the contracting costs that would likely be associated with it. But because it would likely not only be HSD that would be participating in that, talking to some of the other departments with DCHS and health, and probably coming back to the board potentially with a bud mod or some type of proposal related to that contracting cost.
So I'm going to ask for specific language to be sent on any of the changes that you're talking about. I am not willing to push it all into the next fiscal year. I hope I'm here, but I'm not guaranteed to be here, so I'm not willing to do that.
So I have a budget note that already has, that now has a December, that modifies it to have the December 31st date in it, like that was just mentioned. Do you want us to do other things? Does it matter?
So
I have something that doesn't relate to any of them, but I could.
no, so any other, these are not my amendments that my budget notes. So I just, if
No,
Commissioner
I think there
Singleton's
were
already said.
other dates that they were going to.
Yes, exactly. Any other comments or feedback to the department based on this one? Okay, let's keep on rolling.
One that's almost very, very small is just moving the continuum of employment services to the end of that December date, so that's just a very small one. We talked about, we understand that Amendment 20, or Budget Note, 20, that's the East County Outreach and Homeless Human Services, that could become a resolution. We would like to put that towards the end of the fiscal year because we know that there are those other Budget Notes, 21 and 31, that we had talked about potentially predating that one. So that one we suggested to move to be reporting on the end of the fiscal year.
Wait, slow down.
Sorry.
What's the number for the first one you said that you wanted to move to?
Number 17, Continuum of Employment Services.
Move to the end of December?
Yeah, just a few days.
Okay.
And we agree that that one would be good to have done before the next budget process, which is why we agreed that that date made sense.
Thanks.
For the East County Homeless Outreach and Human Services, that is Amendment 20. Noting that that might become a resolution, we still recommended moving that date to the end of the fiscal year.
Okay.
For number 23, the housing innovation pilot, we were suggesting putting that deadline to the end of February 2027, so 2/28/2027. And the reason there is that we are doing our Tri-County RFPQ in fall 2026, which is a big lift to make sure as many people as possible are qualified to perform services. Any provider who wanted to apply for procurement to do that work would need to be qualified via that procurement process. So it adds in the time for us to get that procurement process completed.
Just noting with that also, Nathaniel Vergaud, he, him pronouns, Department Director. Because we're doing that full procurement also, it would be really compressed to try to add any additional procurements in that immediate time frame. So just wanting to note capacity.
Any questions for the department on those? And so are you able to provide that, as the commissioner said, in writing to everyone so folks can update theirs as if that's amenable to them? Okay, great. All right, anybody has specific questions for them that they didn't get answered here, feel free to have those conversations offline. Appreciate HSD, your work on this. I don't know, Chris, did you have any updates at this point for any of the, okay.
It's sort of HSD, but I have the updated amendment about HMIS, or budget note about HMIS, so it just is for case manager assistants to have the ability to look that up.
Is that the DCHS one?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay.
Did you guys really want this piece of paper?
I never said.
Just add it to the pile.
Said no.
I'm starting to feel like Julia. All right. Anything else we need to cover? And are we still working on employment services? Oh, yes, I know you have one. Okay, so Commissioner Berm-Edwards?
I'll just fill the space.
Okay.
So I am going to just flag that I'm going to do a short amendment, but then I have a budget note that I just want to flag that I think the county auditor is going to be present just to answer any questions because it's connected to an audit, some audit recommendations she did. But in the meantime, I am going to, and I told Commissioner Singleton I was going to do this, and I said it at the table. I have an amendment, and Christian might tell me I need to do it a different way, but there was the amendment that was dropped that took $10,000 from each of the commission offices, and so my amendment does take that cut, but it directs the resources from the cut to Program 484A, Culturally Specific Mental Health Services. What I expressed to Commissioner Singleton is I have a lot of, as I know we all do, have cuts in our own district, and I've had to say no to people that wanted me to restore things, so my cut from my district office, I would like to designate it to that program offer. And again, let me know, Christian, if I've got the wrong format.
So we have lost Christian. The role of Christian Elkin will be played this afternoon by Jeff French.
She was sitting behind Commissioner Jones-Dixon, so I couldn't tell if she actually was gone. You can tell me if I did the wrong format or if I should change it.
Shoes are not up to par.
Yeah, the fashion show is over, unfortunately. Jeff Renfro from the budget office. I use he, him pronouns. I believe you can't amend someone else's
Okay, then I'll
amendment.
just offer a
So you should just
separate-
have to do a separate one.
Okay, I'll do whatever the format it is. I think my intent is clear, that I just would like to, I'm not objecting to the cut in my district office. I just would like to be directing where it goes.
Okay.
So is my staff here for another budget note? Are you all ready? Is the auditor?
She's here.
She's here, okay. All right. So in a continuation of my sort of going through the audit recommendations that we've had in the past, and I'm looking to implement them, this is another one of those. I have two others that I've introduced. The county spends more than $1 billion annually on contractual services and are responsible for contract performance and fiscal management. Their document is of significant financial noncompliance with county policies. The county auditor has made recommendations in both of these areas to improve oversight and management of the county's contractual services to promote financial stewardship when there's noncompliance with county financial policies and not meeting performance metrics. And there's a lot more explanation about what this would do. I don't think I need to read it to everyone. And it looks like we've got the team up here. And I understand also there may be some wordsmithing that still you want to have done, which I'm completely open to. I don't know. Michelle, do you want to share anything about the amendment, or?
Sure. Hi, for the record, my name is Michelle Rogelstad, and I'm the Budget and Policy Director for Commissioner Brim-Edwards District 3. Thanks for having me. It might be helpful to kind of understand the intent behind this budget note, which is really to bolster and strengthen and articulate contract fiscal management and contract performance management, and also spell out a little bit of the roles that exist in each. And so pontificated in the list in front of us, which, sorry about the template format, that kind of runs together. It discusses the fiscal risk assessment tool that's used by DCM. It talks about ongoing financial monitoring by the department. It also discusses performance metrics, and in the context of the audit recommendations from a couple of recent audits. One was on contract monitoring, and then the other was on specifically on the Homeless Services Department. And so I'm happy to answer any questions about what the specifics are around the different components of what we're hoping to achieve in receiving a report on these ongoing activities, that to make sure that the county is catching any contracts or providers that may be out of financial noncompliance in particular, but also to make sure that we're bolstering the performance management part.
So I understand that, and I can ask this also the auditor, it was, the recommendation is much broader than just the Homeless Service Department, but this is, that would be a big thing to do. So this is a targeted place where we have a fair amount of providers and some newer ones.
Yes, that's correct, Commissioner. I mean, I don't want to speak for the auditor. I know she's in the audience. Her audit recommendations were broader beyond homeless services. It seems easier to go in and pretty strategically look at one department at a time. And knowing that there had been more highlighted contracts in this area that may be out of compliance, wanting to make sure that we captured those.
Let's say you.
Yeah,
I
so.
can tell that y'all haven't been sitting up here all day.
Yeah, because they're smiling. Yeah, so, go ahead. So, yeah, I'm curious how the CFO's office and DCM in general and the CO's office have been incorporated, wrapped into this, and really what this does in terms of differences than what we do now, the impact to HSD in terms of their operations, and any resources that might be needed to fulfill this.
Yeah, absolutely. Eric Ariano, Chief Financial Officer. And I'll let Antoinette obviously cover a section from her side. But what I want to just provide just for context, and again, this may be repetitive, is currently, obviously, we have a function that's been historically in place in the county where we do fiscal monitoring for nonprofits that we do business with, that we pass through funds, that's really focused in on making sure that they're abiding by federal requirements, because we're passing through federal funds, right? So we have that obligation through the federal government to do that. So we've had a long history of having that function, and we have various risk mitigation tools that we use. More recently, in fiscal year '25, the board authorized a new position in that fiscal compliance office that would focus in on HSD contracts, because we knew with the large expansion of HSD, we were missing a significant amount of providers that we did business with but did not get federal funds. And so I would say, in terms of comparing that to what we've done historically versus that, it's pretty new, pretty recent. And so there's been a lot of stuff that's been done over the last couple of years to develop that with HSD. So, just wanted to give kind of a baseline for that. Having said that, I think tying in this to this budget note to the auditor's audit from 2022, but also recently the follow-up, is that my office and our deputy CFO had been working with HSD and Antoinette, I think really focused in on those instances where there is a provider, again, an HSD, that is high risk, either because of a fiscal issue or a performance issue. And I want to be very clear, they're two different things. They're two different things. And my office handles the fiscal side of things. We do not handle the performance side of things. And that's why we work with HSD. And so there could be risk because both sides, right? Or just one. And so we have been working with the HSD office to, and again, in relation to that audit report and the recent follow-up of when there's instances of high risk, making sure that we have proper mechanisms to evaluate that high-risk situation and risk mitigate, and make sure that we have documentation either through a plan with the providers or through a contract incorporating language that helps risk mitigate, to make sure that we're resolving that situation or improving it in the future. So I just wanted to speak to that component, and maybe I'll pass it over to Antoinette to add some pieces on performance.
For the record, Antoinette Payne, she, her pronouns. I am the finance director for the Homeless Services Department, and I think around performance, I think the best person to answer this is Deputy Director Anna Plum.
Wow. Intro for that? Wow, I know. And I'm going to phone a friend.
Hello again. Louise, my middle name is Louise. Can you just repeat that question so I can make sure I am answering it more thoroughly?
It was
the performance piece? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And how we manage performance among our contractors?
It was actually, Eric was just actually passing it off to you.
Oh, passing it off to me to speak to it more generally? Great,
Yes.
Can do. Okay.
It wasn't a response to one of our questions necessarily, but.
Okay. Yeah, so we have a variety of ways that we manage contractual performance for each of our providers. All of our contracts do have outcomes in them. And this year, I believe we shared with you all a couple examples of our new contract monitoring dashboard, where we and our providers are able to look on a monthly basis at what we have contracted that provider to perform and their progress so far. So that is something that we upload every month, and it is available online, and all of the contractors can look at that to see where they are in terms of performing their outcomes. We do also do regular performance monitoring, both sort of on-site and off-site. And if a provider is not meeting performance metrics, that begins a conversation around, is there a reason you're having a struggle with this? Do you need more support, or is this not the right fit for you? We do engage in performance management with providers when they are not meeting their outcomes. It is something we already do. And I see this listed. I just got this, so I'm kind of reading it as I talk. But a lot of what is envisioned here we are already doing, and we might suggest some edits to just make it a little bit more clear about what we're already doing and how that aligns with the intent of the budget note.
Yeah, and that was really my question, is because just knowing all the work that has happened in this area between HSD and the CFO and DCM's office, just really like what's already happening, what's needed, what's not there, what are things that, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and we have some pretty robust information on what our monitoring process looks like. We've put in a lot of performance monitoring practices and procedures. Our staff get regular training on and reminders on how to do that contract monitoring, what forms to fill out, how to engage in those conversations, what our expectations are. So we've built out a really robust contract monitoring process over the last several years, and we were actually called out in a recent review of contracting policies across the county as sort of the highest performer in the county on how we design our contract monitoring for performance.
Great. Okay, and hi, we have the auditor here. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, yes, for the record, I'm Jennifer McGuirk. I'm the county auditor, and I use she, her pronouns. I really just wanted to clarify, and if this is incorrect, looking to Eric, please correct me. My understanding is the fiscal compliance unit is not doing ongoing regular fiscal monitoring, and that detailed invoice review that I've called out as needing to happen doesn't necessarily happen with every provider, including high-risk providers. And so that's something that I've been, asking for the board to ensure happens with the recommendations that I'd made in the past and reminded you of earlier this year. So fiscal compliance does a great job, but they're not doing the day-to-day fiscal review. That's really on every department. That is not the role of fiscal compliance. And I just want to clarify that because I think that gets muddied here, and I think it has gotten muddied in other communications, exactly where those roles break down. And so that's why in our contract monitoring audit, we did have a recommendation for fiscal compliance to work with departments and providers to really clarify who does what and when those things happen.
So it is correct that on a regular basis, departments, and this is not specific to HSD, but departments are not doing detailed invoice review as everything is reimbursement based, correct? So what we are doing is looking at what is in your budget and what are you invoicing us for in those categories. So the detailed invoice review is part of the more regular every 3-year monitoring that happens with fiscal compliance. So that is correct. If we were as a county to want to, well, I'm kind of speaking outside of my knowledge here, but we would need significantly more staff to do that level of detailed invoice review on a regular basis.
And I just want to point out that we don't just only reimburse. We have done some pretty significant advances, and those have not been monitored carefully.
Hi, Eric. Can you?
I'm sorry, so Anna, just to understand, so you're saying it's only every 3 years that you're looking through a contract cycle versus by the invoice?
So on the fiscal compliance review, it's 3 years on a federal. I think there's been conversations between Eric and Cora around what does that look like when you have a provider that raises some flags on how often we start doing the review, because I think, given what we're seeing, I think 3 years may be a little too long.
It also, I mean, I know this is a bit of the way back days, but that is how we used to do contracts when they were at the city of Portland. So it's a little confusing to me that that's disappeared in practice and that it would take a lot more staff to do it when I know it's more providers now, but there's also a lot more staff in HSD than there were when these were city programs. Not a question.
So how?
Yeah.
So if there were some irregularities, it theoretically wouldn't be caught until they're like on cycle?
So we do, when we get an invoice, we can see irregularities, we flag them, but there are some times where you're paying an invoice and you just see a summary of what you're paying, like say personnel, it costs X amount. And so if we see something that is higher from one month to another, we will flag, but you would need every line item detail that rolls up to that invoice to do that thorough level review, and that will delay payment. And so that's why we do a fiscal compliance review, which allows for that more thorough invoice review.
Yeah.
So it seems like, though, I'm just questioning, like, if you don't have a parking kitty receipt, and you, like, it doesn't get reimbursed, I mean, here at the county, unless you, like, have the receipt and everything. I'm just like, so we don't, there's not any sort of review of the broad categories of on the invoices?
So the broad categories that we get, that get more of the supporting documentation, is around client assistance, and that is most of our largest bucket, and those are the ones where we get the more detailed line item. Personnel, facilities, things like that is not on a detailed level.
Yeah. Yeah, what I will say is that I think some of the stuff that's being discussed is accurate, but I think what I want to go back to, what the auditor mentioned, is that with the detailed invoice review, that being conducted on instances where there is a provider that is high risk, again, either because of a fiscal issue or performance component, that we're in complete agreement with the auditor that having a process to do that detailed invoice review on some cadence. That's not every single instance, but maybe it's quarterly, maybe it's semi-annual. That does get into the details of those. We're in complete agreement, and we have been working on how to potentially do that for those instances related to HSD. Having said that, I think it is a lot of work to do that, because it's almost kind of like a small audit to do that, because you're looking at all the details. It could vary depending on how you do it, but it's something that we're kind of working through, but we're in a complete agreement that is necessary, and also helps us deal with issues that are coming up in a more proactive way, and with our providers, especially when they're high risk. So just wanted to note that. And that is something that we've been discussing since auditor had a follow-up communication.
So what resources are needed to do that? I mean, because this is a budget note that's requesting a pilot to start. Are you able to do that with existing resources or not? Like, in order to actually do this, is this going to be, is there something, I know there's a lot of work happening with shared services. Is that a way to see if there are resources through that process? I'm trying to figure out how we can make sure that.
Yeah, that's a good question, Chair. And I want to be, I'll answer it, but I want to be pretty clear that when we do the fiscal compliance work of doing fiscal reviews, there's a certain scope and independence to what they do. This kind of invoice review on an ongoing basis on some cadence, I think should happen on the department side, right, in terms of the work. So I think my office in current state, we can support around, here's what we think would be an ideal review, invoice review, and we can support on that in terms of that. But I think the work would fall back to the department. And in shared service, it may come back to, but we would, I don't want to speak for Antoinette, but I do think we would need to think about whether we do need more resources for that.
Yeah, so, since this is a specific.
For a pilot, I think we could figure it out, but if it were to be a larger expansion, I think that would be where we'd have to figure out a larger impact.
Yeah, one of these things is, like, for example, it says,
so, Commissioner, I'm sorry. Commissioner Moyer. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to wrap my head around this, and to be honest, I've never asked this question, so I would be very interested in understanding our contract administrative process, so I get a sense of like how we do this. I really have construction as my frame of reference, and largely on the billing side. And for me, I'm hearing these discrepancies, and there's a little bit of not understanding how that happens, because typically, and again, it might not work this way, I don't totally understand the nuance of our contract language, but like, I am very used to looking at, like, this is my yearly allocation, where is the project, how much can I bill based on what I've performed, how does that, when I'm talking to an owner or an owner's rep, it's like, you're saying you're at 40% of X, Y, Z. I'm looking at what's been happening. Does that pass the smell test? So I guess I'm trying to understand, at some future date, if we could get a briefing to just kind of understand how we do contract compliance and the nature of the expectation in the contract.
happy, yes, that is really great information for everyone to have. So, okay, so I know you just received this. I think it'd be helpful if you guys could take a look at it, and then any flags or any resources that are needed, if they're needed.
I want to note, one of the things that I think this does is more formalize things. So I love that you all are talking about things, but this would require there be a document plan in place for those, who are fiscally high risk, so that everybody knows, so it's not an informal arrangement. I think often what happens is when things slip through, it's because they're informal arrangements versus here's our expectations, it's shared with the providers, everybody knows what the rules are, because it's always hard to comply, or to find somebody out of compliance if it's not formalized. So I think this is what it's attempting to do. And again, from the auditor and everybody at this table, if you have things that either wordsmith or important nuances, I'm happy to get them. But again, this is trying to more formalize our process and respond to an audit recommendation that we had. Again, I think of like when we go out to voters on a variety of things, being able to show that we have formal processes in place and strong fiscal controls. That's sometimes the most important selling point we have when we're asking taxpayers to support something.
Yeah, and what I agree with you 100%, Commissioner, and I will note that as we were looking at it really quickly, Antoinette, myself, and Sarah were like, oh, we're already working on this, or we're already doing this. So in terms of that point around formalizing it, it's really important. I think I really want to stress, just because I want to clarify that, again, the fiscal monitoring piece that the county's had has always been pretty standard. This hasn't been something that's fluctuated in terms of what we do or us changing it. We've been very consistent on how we do that. So I don't want to imply that we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. We are. It's just I think there's a reality that in HSD there's been a lot of a lot of providers, a lot more than the county's dealt with in the past, and that's why we added that resource there. And there's been a lot of work to deal with that reality, right? And so I will say to Commissioner Moyer, I do think that I'm going to take this opportunity to, I think sometimes doing just a refresher with commissioners on this is what fiscal compliance does, and getting the specifics is always really helpful to understand, again, the history and the context and how it plays into this.
Thank you.
So just any sort of coordination that, if any suggested, that's including documenting what you already do, that's fine. Yeah, that's great as well.
The long-awaited deployment amendment is here. So this is an updated, it's specifically HSD employment programs. It is myself, Commissioner Jones-Dixon, Commissioner Brim Edwards. So it updates the pay-fors and the restorations for HSD employment programs. It is not quite the full amount. I think that, and if folks have questions, I'll definitely look to staff. But I think that the consensus was that there's small reductions for some providers as opposed to any significant dollar amount left out. We're as close as we could get.
Brendan Finn, Chief of Staff to Vice Chair Jones-Dixon, and the other thing that it does is it combines our other hygiene amendment that was there, puts it back into the package with employment services.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it's fully funded. It's short $240,000 for the entire package for everything in employment services.
Thank you. That's right, because we get to take an amendment off the list. So his former hygiene amendment is now rolled up into this.
Great. So that will take us one duplicate off of something. I think
Getting there, team.
we're slowly but surely. So
And I'll be down here if you have questions.
So vector control, does this take this down to zero on vector control? And maybe this is like, well, we're just going to have to do some math to really figure out where we are. I'm looking at you, Jeff.
It takes us down to 410, I think. I think you gave 200,000 away, and then we have a 1.5 one, and then this.
So there's 1.5, there's
200 for the juvenile justice electrification.
160 for the sandwich shop, which is not the transition,
sandwich shop,
not
sandwich
the
shop.
hub.
And nobody knew we were going into food service.
Yeah, so we'll just need to do some math to make sure that we're not overspending.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and that we have enough in there for the project to move forward the way it needs to this year. Okay.
I'm going to ask for just an amendment at the table, since this is how we do it, to just on the sponsor line, have Commissioner Jones-Dixon, myself, and Commissioner Singleton all listed on the sponsor line. And since we can do that, since we're a quorum in a public meeting.
Yep.
Is that?
Yeah, that's fine.
And if anybody else wants
Still
to,
call them Christian.
Commissioner Moyer, do you want to get on it?
Yes, but I don't care about sponsors.
Yes. So this is taking 1.6 million out of the 10 million one-time only for housing placement. Jillian, or I knew we were losing Ann. Sarah? Wait, Sarah Morrissey? Come on down. Oh, there we go. Hello. Hello, Nathaniel.
And Chair, Jenny Madcourt here. Just real quickly on the sponsorships and co-sponsorships, we can choose any method we want to identify support, but we should be consistent throughout the document so that we understand what we're saying. Currently, the way a lot of them are written is it's a main sponsor and then a co-sponsor. Again, no magic words, but we'll just come to an agreement. Christian, her staff will work on that, and then it will be consistent through the rest of the budget notes, if that sounds good.
I see
and I think
Jeff
this-
shaking his head.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just saying, I think this will be, because it's a smush together of 3 different amendments, that it will be.
3
like-
co-sponsors?
Yeah.
3 co-sponsors?
3 sponsors, yeah. Just.
Jeff Renfro again, from the budget office, see him. So I think on this one, I think the nuance we're getting to is there's 3 co-equal sponsors. So we'll figure out how to incorporate that on the wide sheet. There's no distinction. The primary sponsor is just the first name listed, and then the co-sponsors are after that. So on this sheet, it will just look the same. It'll just be everyone's names who's sponsoring or co-sponsoring. And then on the big, thick packet where there's a primary sponsor, on this one, we'll figure out how to do.
Can that be
I know we can.
3 co-sponsors?
I know we can do this.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm confident we can figure it out.
Of all the things our budget office.
If we can come to an
This
agreement on
template
the
itself
deal,
was
then.
harder to figure out than this one thing. I know we can do it.
Okay, great. Hi, HSD, welcome. All right, so this is just speaking to the $1.6 million use of the housing placement out of shelter for employment services.
Nathaniel Vergao, he, him pronouns, Director of the Homeless Services Department. So based on, so 1.6 million, is that correct? Okay, so that would reduce our overall placements by 123 and would impact our exit rate, reducing it from the anticipated 30% to 28.6%. So it's 123 households that we would not be able to pay for housing for.
That's okay, they'll pay for themselves through their equipment.
These are new people though, right?
Well, so one of the other things, just, and this is like not an amendment, but I do think this year, when we fund it again, we should be looking at sort of more documenting like the outcomes, because I mean, anybody who has interacted with people who are in the employment programs, I mean, they're very sold on this was their path off the streets, onto recovery, getting their kids back, so I think moving from like anecdotes, which are super powerful, to like showing that this is a very legitimate path, people being able to pay for their rent or some other things, and getting permanent employment is going to be important to answer the question, because it's not just like, I don't think it's a one-to-one.
Sarah Morrissey, DCOO, she, her pronouns. I think in addition with the budget note 17, where we're looking at employment programs as a whole, and I think making sure we have those metrics identified, and then also doing an evaluation of where we're seeing that the highest ROI to ensure people are having that success. So appreciate the comment.
Would it be helpful to add some of those things into the budget note? So I'll give an example of, there's a program that maybe doesn't have as high of outcomes, but it is one of the few that tends to serve our young people. And so I see value in that, even if it's not, they get X number of employment placements. So is some of that language helpful to add to that budget note?
I mean, I think the way the budget note is currently constructed, it's fine. It's broad enough that we can encompass that and record it.
Thank you all for your work. I have a problem with one of the pay-fors, but I come bearing an alternative option. I'm really concerned about the $294,000 out of YFS eviction prevention and our commitment to the city of Portland to not supplant, as well as not wanting to take resources out of the services that I think are really, really important for the families in our community that are most vulnerable. I'm specifically, although I think everybody doing this work is doing great work, how important Bien Star is, and it's what it's able to accomplish with the very limited resources, and I don't want to see a cut there. So I have a budget amendment that would buy back the $294,000 and restore a .5 position that ended up getting eliminated at Bien Star from the, I want to say Family Navigator line. I could be getting that wrong. It is position 749503. And that is paid for, and I've had a conversation. There is ongoing and needs to be ongoing work at the Department of Homeless Services related to span of control. And we have talked about achieving an overall savings of $400,000 to pay for that. So here is my budget amendment. If you have questions, stay.
So this is just taking an overall cut from Homeless Services Department of $400,000 to pay for this?
Yes, through the span of control work that is being taken on.
They have a very low span of control.
I understand that. Okay. Just curious, I mean, you guys are just receiving this now? Haven't any conversations? I mean, there have been no conversations about this? Okay, well, why don't you, I always like, is this real money? So I think the question is, in this next fiscal year, is there $400,000 of savings that the department can find to help pay for this restoration? And that's what we need your opinion on, and I know you guys are just getting it, so look forward to.
Yeah, we'll review it and talk to the department.
Okay.
And again, I don't think anything is without pain. But I do think it is important. We have taken a nearly 30% reduction in services, and the department has taken a 9% reduction in staff, which I don't think is the right ratio. That's my opinion. And they have some real pockets of span of control that I think is not sustainable, and I don't want to leave it as is. So I think that work needs to be done regardless of this particular amendment. I think we've got to look at how we use management versus lead and other ways of breaking work up, because we cannot have people supervising 2 or 3 people.
And can I just share, I think, so the department was a 15% reduction for FTE. Just want to make sure that's clear. And then we are in this place right now with shared services that we are also working on realigning with the core services of contracting and HR. And so I think talking to those teams and figuring out where we could land, because while we're looking at span of control, we're also restructuring and basically redesigning kind of those services within the department, which will impact span. So we'll talk about it, but I think that's just another factor of some of the complications, I'd say, with the span and the way it is right now with shared services.
Okay, I get that. I will say, you had 114 positions, you went to 98, that is not 15%. That is 9%. It's actually 8-point-something% reduction in staffing.
Okay, any other amendments?
Yes.
All right, let's.
So because I broke apart my initial workforce and employment amendment, I'm updating Amendment 1 just to keep the rest of the investments in the trades around pre-apprenticeship and apprenticeship support, the behavioral health apprenticeship program as well. So nothing's new, it's just because my employment programs got pulled into the other amendment, I needed to update this so it just shows the workforce pieces.
Okay, great. And are these, so it looks like the pay for is a revenue amendment 3, revenue amendment 4, and then vacancy savings. Are these?
This is, nothing's different, so.
Okay, it's the
yep,
same,
it's just
okay.
that it subtracted the employment programs, the HSD employment programs.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
I knew you were like, I think we're done with budget notes, but we're not.
But we're not.
So I have a budget note that I've been working on with Christian Elkin since the budget started, around having an accessible budget that people can actually read. And it is not in place of our current budget, but it is something that addresses the reading level of our budget, as well as looking at how we can put it into categories that make sense. I referenced some of the work that's been done on the website accessibility that folks look for eviction prevention or health services, and how can we really look at our budget, making it a little more accessible to the general public. So this has been a ton of work. Christian has been in the weeds. I'm happy to take if there's any additional changes to that. This is just an update to the budget note. All the numbers are different. So this is the one around the employment services, and it just adds the conversation we had earlier about making sure we look at the cities and any employment programs they may be funding. So that's just adding language of the cities. And I'm not going to hand this one out to you. This is just the update that one said that directs the chair, and it's just updating requests.
I'm not going to, I have a PSH one, but you already have 3 versions of it, so I'm just going to give it to Christian.
Yep.
I have the updated language on my 2-page budget.
Your budget note
related to behavioral health capacity that incorporates health department.
Everybody was so busy.
I know, we got a lot done.
All right. So I am going to.
And just ask, Commissioner Moyer, what's the difference between this and?
It'll be in blue, changes.
So this is sort of like setting up a template that data will flow into?
It's more about like creating greater flexibility for what we are able. Do you want to? Justin, come on down. These are your edits.
These are your edits. Good department work.
Okay, you want to go first, or you want me to? Okay. So it's to address some things that were brought up around what information will actually be able to track and having some flexibility based on the feedback and internal expertise. The second is recognizing that not everyone has to give us this information. They don't have a contractual relationship, so we're going to do the best we can. And then the last one is clarifying the intent that this is something that we are building and updating over time. It's not a one-time drop. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions? Did I get that right?
Yeah. For the record, Justin Black, he, him pronouns, Deputy COO. I think what we're trying to, what the commissioner said is absolutely correct. And also, we're trying to create a report that is ongoing so that there can be a constant evaluation of the SUG system and have broader conversations around policy. We know that the questions around what is tracked will change over time, and we want to make sure we're adaptive of that so that if the board decides that they want to track other measures over time, we can include those or drop others and just have this be an iterative process and an ongoing report that comes out so people understand the capacity of the system.
Great. All right, any other updates, new amendments, new budget notes, updated amendments, updated budget notes? Good jokes people have heard lately, like anything.
I have one.
Okay, we're going to hold you to that.
For today.
Oh, this is a.
This one's for the MCSO, the pay for, we're switching it to the vector control.
Yes. All right, excellent.
So I just have an update about the amendment I laid down earlier. It was Amendment 18. It's actually not, I was mistaken, it's not an amendment to the amendment, it's just a freestanding amendment, which reduces my office budget by $10,000 and indicates where it's going. So it's not an amendment of amendment, and I would ask Commissioner Singleton if she could respectfully ask if that could be removed from your amendment, and I will direct the reduction that I'm supportive of to a service in my district.
So it was initially in the amendment 43B, which was putting dollars back into peer navigators in public defense.
Got it.
I took 10,000 from each of our budget offices, and I just would like to be consulted about where the money, if we're going to have a reduction, where it goes.
Okay, I'm going to ask Jeff Renfro to come down to see if he has any questions.
And tell us all of the updated spreadsheets.
I don't think he has that, but he may need some he may have questions in order to be able to provide that information to us.
You can narrate it to us, Jeff.
Just a couple of clarifications. So even with your freestanding amendment, your amendment remains unchanged? Okay, so yours will just go in as a, okay.
Respectfully ask Commissioner Singleton to change that, to remove it, because I'll take the reduction, but I want to direct it because the removal of the money from my office budget, I'm not going to speak for anyone else, that I wasn't asked, and I've been telling a lot of my constituents that we don't have money to restore things, so I'd like it to go to something in my district.
Okay, and then with the new employment amendment, and then we've got your update to what'll now be 1E. The rest of the employment amendments, could we just get a confirmation that which ones are withdrawn or still there, just to make sure we're capturing everyone's intent? So that would be 14D, 20, and 31, or was 14D already dropped? 14D is already withdrawn, so then amendments 20, which is hygiene, that one is withdrawn. And then,
Wait, hold on a second. Commissioner Jones-Dixon, can you confirm that Amendment 20, which was restoring hygiene and prevention health services, is withdrawn because it's a part of the new one?
I'll confirm 31 for sure, as far as withdrawing that. And then 20.
Okay.
Yeah, no, not 30, 31 is not withdrawn.
I'm sorry. That's right,
31
31, keeping
yeah.
31, withdrawn 20. Because we combined 20 to 31.
Okay.
The pay-fors on 31 are updated.
Okay, so we're keeping 1, but that's changed. And we're
Correct.
keeping 31, and that's changed. And then we're withdrawing 20.
Correct.
okay, so the new one is going in place of 31. Got it. Okay, thank you. And then as far as updating everything, if you give us like 5 minutes.
I was joking.
No, we've been trying to keep up, but
No,
yeah.
I asked him if, like, before we leave the room, can we, like, just get where are we and how much more do we have to do? So yes, we'll be in recess for 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Hello, hello. All right, welcome back. So appreciate all the good work from Jeff and Ash. We are going to start. So we have a very important announcement from Commissioner Moyer.
Thank you, everyone, for messaging me and my staff. I clearly was not a math major. Yes, Homeless Services Department did in fact take a 14% staff reduction. I am sorry, Sarah. I did the math incorrectly. That is what I wanted to say.
So does that change your amendment? No, okay. just modeling accountability. Yeah, I appreciate it. Okay, so COO Neal has some updates from the DCM perspective and CO's office perspective on the budget notes around dates, and so he's going to share those. Chris Neal.
Okay, for the record, Christopher Neal, COO. I'll do the dates first, and then I'll talk a bit about impact. So I know that the HSD new dates have already been sent out. I'll go through some of these new ones that we've had over the last few hours. So first one I've got is the case manager access to HMIS. This is DCHS.
The number, please.
This is Singleton. It says budget note 9 on my sheet. Is that correct? All right. Make sure I got updated stuff. We got it?
No, that's not it. No, just keep going.
Keep going. Okay. The date was October 31, and we are asking for December 31. Okay. Next one, Singleton, budget note 10, victim services. The request, again, October 31. We are asking December 31.
I love that you guys are just stacking them all in December instead.
Better than not.
So,
What was the first one, Chris, since now I have my packet?
9, case manager access to HMIS.
Okay, 9.
Uh-huh.
Great, thank you. Okay.
Next, 13, Moyer, DCM coordination and support to DCM finance. I think this one has August, and we're looking at March.
What number was that?
Health insurance for PFA providers, number 13, Moyer.
That was March.
Okay, we agree. I've got identified due date August 15. What's that?
True cost of care study?
True
Okay.
cost.
November 3rd, okay.
November, okay.
Okay, keep going. Okay, 14, Moyer, true cost, I think we covered that one already.
We just did that one.
Okay. The next one is HSD, the continuum of employment. You already got that one. I'll keep going. The next one's HSD. I think that if I'm skipping over HSD, those are all of them. The rest of them we can do.
The rest of them, the dates are fine?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, I just want to clarify, it's not a change of date, but I had asked for a date for number 15. I do not need it in the moment. It's standardized contracting with CBOs. Would you like me to put that in October?
Can we have an edit or a suggestion?
Freed up.
You can get
I'll
back to
follow
me.
it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, lots of budget notes. We've spent the last, 4 or 5 hours talking about 30, 40 budget notes of things, what I wanted to say, actually, of working with all the different departments. Some of these budget notes, of course, are potential revenue-generating outcomes, which is great. Some have savings outcomes, which is great, and the majority of them are enterprise-level efficiencies, which is exactly what our strategic plan asks for in focus area number 5, which is operational excellence. These are all the right focus areas that we need to be working on for the county and the community, et cetera, and that's great. At the same time, I guess what I would ask is that we be thoughtful and be mindful of the positions that we are reducing that are delivering these outcomes. I'm pretty certain over the last 2 days, I've been in each of your offices, and you've heard me say this already once. So I am asking that we be mindful of that, because a lot of these outcomes, which are the right things that we should be doing, are also attached, some of them, to some of the positions that are being reduced at the same time. I would also consider that we approach these reductions, the positions, as more of a value add, because many of these positions, what they are going to be adding and the work that they're going to do is going to generate outcomes that are well beyond their salaries or well beyond their position descriptions. So that's what I would ask. As you all know, there's 30, 40 of them. We've been talking about them for 5 or 6 hours. There's a lot of work that's there, especially with some of these due dates that we're compounding. Some of them we move from October to December. And I'll also say, once we're done with this process, we'll do another reevaluation, and that we will base some of these priorities based on resources that are allocated. Is that fair? Okay, no response, okay?
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
We've talked about it.
We hear that. Okay, thank you, Chris. I have had a request that if those date changes worked for you, can there be a, yes, these dates works for me, so that we can just make those changes without having new budget notes submitted, because version control is becoming an issue as we're trying to finalize things. Okay, so Commissioner Moyer's fine. Commissioners?
Let me just check real quick.
Okay. You didn't have any? Okay.
Yes.
Did you have any? Yes, those work.
Couple, I'll let you know. I can't let you know right now. I have to.
Okay.
talk to the staff.
Okay, great. So we've got yeses except for D4 at this point.
And I will, sorry, there's an asterisk. Yes, except for the one that is about PSH. I'll come back with something that seems reasonable to me. I heard what the department asked for, but I'm not in line with pushing half of it into a future fiscal year.
Okay, great. And I was just asking about Chris's, but thank you for that. Yeah. Okay, great. Now for the stars of the hour, Jeff Renfro and Ash. Are you coming up? No, okay. Still the star of the hour. That's exactly what we're talking about right now. Great. Okay. So I just felt before we adjourned for the day, as we're thinking about priorities for tomorrow and the voting that we'll need to do, just to try to get a sense of where we are across some revenue amendments. Great. So I'll turn it over to Jeff. I don't know what I was going to say, but Jeff.
So we gave you 2 updated sheets. The first one is our revenue balancer here. So we're still overspent on the revenue amendments by about $2 million of one-time only, and then $275,000 in ongoing, taken collectively. And then the other sheet we handed you is an update of the duplicate offsets.
We have one sheet. Jenny stole all the sheets.
Look under your soda. I think she just.
Oh, is it here?
They went out, yeah, before I came up.
Oh, okay, great. Sorry, Jenny, didn't mean to.
That one is all of the places in which multiple amendments are taking offsets from the same program. So we're just highlighting places where there's kind of some double dipping to give you a sense of the total magnitude of this.
So I will clarify, while I wish I had 50,000 to give out of my office, it's just 10,000 total, so it's the 1% like everyone else's. I think it's just a typo. On here, 43B reduces District 2 by 5,000, and then 48 reduces it by 5,000.
Okay, I think on one of the updated amendment sheets, I think it was 50, so we'll update that in our big packet as well.
Also, it has I have that I'm reducing the chair's office position, which I think is a different thing than, I mean, it just goes to a different place. It's not actually a reduction.
It's still a reduction to my office's budget.
But it goes somewhere else. Does that appear somewhere else?
I mean, that's every cut, every cut.
Yeah, I mean, so this is just looking specifically at the offsets, regardless of what they're doing.
And Commissioner, I think you and I had, I know that your intention was to do this like right for a half year,
Yeah.
but the amount is for a full year.
Yeah, so it should be a half a year, because I think it says January. Also, I'm just noticing this. How come District 2 is $5,000? Is it, he has a different?
It's 5,000 in two different amendments,
Okay.
because we didn't need the full amount in 43B. So the other 5,000 goes to amendment number 48. So same dollar amount, just it's split in two amendments.
We'll update it. I think there was just an extra 0 on one of the updated amendment sheets that came
Okay.
to us, so we'll get that updated.
Oh, I see. So the top line should just be it should be 5,000,
Yes.
5,000? Okay.
Commissioner Brim-Edwards, let's talk later about the pretrial and getting that down to one amendment. I know that that's, I think because some of the pay-fors are, you know,
Yeah, it's the same.
It's not like, yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Everybody else doesn't have to be involved in that.
Okay. Any other questions about the duplicate offsets or the revenue amendments?
So the eviction prevention, there's, what's the total amount in that?
So that one in the program offer is 2.5 million. So the total taken is 500,000. So the remaining is 2 million.
Okay. I'm curious, what does the red mean? Color coding?
The red is the offset, and then the black that's underneath it is the.
No, the highlight, there's one of them that's highlighted.
The red band?
Oh, I think we just did that because it's kind of odd, because we're putting it in, there were more that were in 30210, and that offset included 30210 and 30302. So we wanted to put it there so you could see it, but it's including other things potentially.
Okay. Just trying to understand your
A
system.
question about 12C. Isn't there money that they are expected to get? So is the goal to get it to 1.2 million total, or is the goal to add an additional 1.2 million to, and I may be remembering the number wrong, it was in the 400,000 something.
Yeah, there's no adding, it's to keep it at 1.2 million.
So isn't it really just spending 700 and something thousand, not 1.2? Like, I don't think it costs as much as we're saying it costs, is my question.
Yeah, yes, you're correct. When we asked the question initially, before we put down the amendment, we didn't have that number. So we'll be putting forward
Okay.
an additional.
So at the bottom of the page, my amendment number 10, it makes it look like it said $1 million reduction. It's just a dedicated specification, so it's not actually reducing the 10 million?
Yeah, this is one that I think it felt confusing why.
Well, it's.
And like it's earmarked, it's essentially.
It's an
earmarked a certain
earmark, but
amount.
it's staying within it, but it's just like, that's what,
So the 1 million is moved from one program offer to another, correct?
Right, but I guess when saying it's duplicate,
Can you give me an amendment
Sven?
number or
10.
10?
10. This is the $1 million that is for it's the allocation for the shelters that are closing in 2.5 months. So it's actually going to the same services, it's just,
Yeah, I think we put it in there because it was moving the $1 million from its originally intended purpose, but I get that we can put a note on that offset
yeah,
line.
because it's not reducing what the functional use of the money is. It's just saying for that group, and we also said, if they don't use all the money, it goes back to the sort of unallocated use, but the use is the same.
Yeah, it does take it out of the program offer, and I know we put language in there to move it back, but.
I guess one thing I was just trying to demonstrate is like, when people look at like, how much is it being reduced, it's actually,
Yeah.
It's still a
less-
$10 million placement out of shelter pot from what you're doing. I know that's not true for all of
Yeah.
them, but she's not taking out of
the
placement out of
And
shelter.
I think that's important because
Yeah.
it's another $1 million.
Yeah, we can add a note to clarify that.
And I will just note for folks, Commissioner Jones-Dixon and I, and Commissioner Brim-Edwards, I see you're on this one too, but there's a duplication of amendment number 29 with the services. I also buy back an amendment number 2. So I think that's just something Commissioner Moyer pointed out that we didn't talk about this afternoon, but we'll get that one figured out too.
Okay, what's amendment number 2 again? Yours?
Amendment number 2 is the eviction prevention, so it has both the eviction prevention in-reach team, but then it includes legal services.
So that's a place where we could do a smush together?
Or just pull back 29. Because 29 is it the same amount?
Yeah.
Different pay for.
Different pay for, same amount. My amendment is bigger than just that one program.
Okay, let's see if we can get,
Okay. Okay, so can we talk about, all right, anything else? We know the job in front of us. So this is what tomorrow will look like. So we're convening at 1 PM. Please no one show up at 9:30. 1 PM tomorrow, back in this room, for a regular board meeting. We'll have consent agenda, public testimony on non-agenda items, and then we'll move on to the regular agenda. The first 4 items are going to be the library district budget and the library's budget, so we'll get those first. And then starting with R5 and continuing on, those will be all of the rest of the county budget. R5 is the big item where we do all of the amendments. We'll do all the board amendments, the department amendments. That's going to be where we're going to really need to make sure everything is balanced. I've let the board know, and we're going to be taking recesses as necessary as we're working through things, and as the budget office needs to make sure that we're truing up the budgets and the changes to make sure that we're actually coming out. We're going to go through the amendments in order as we're taking them one by one, like we did last year. However, we may need to go back and to amendments if we at the end of the day we're out of money, right? Like if we pass every amendment and we're still out, we may have to go back. So I just want that to be, that might be something we have to do if we're not in alignment in terms of dollars. Okay. All right. Thanks everyone for the time and attention and great work today. There being no further business, we are adjourned.